They say love is simple. Two people meet, sparks fly, and the rest is history. But here's the truth. No one's telling you. Men don't fall in love the way you think they do. In fact, unless one specific thing happens first, a man can be wildly attracted to you, sleep next to you, even spend years with you, and still never truly fall in love. Sounds crazy? It's not. It's biological, emotional, and psychological. And if you don't know what this trigger is, you could be wasting your energy on someone who is never capable of giving you the love you deserve. Most women believe love grows naturally with time, consistency, or intimacy. But for men, it's different. There is a precise moment, one mental switch, that flips in a man's mind, and when it happens, he goes from "she's nice" to "I can't imagine my life without her." And no, it's not about sex. It's not about being the cool girl, the most supportive partner, or the most successful woman in the room. It's something far deeper, and the moment you understand this, everything changes. If you've ever asked yourself, why do men pull away after getting close? Why does he say he's not ready, but then love bombs someone else? What makes a man finally commit? You're about to get answers no one else is giving you. Stay with me, because by the end of this video, you'll know exactly what needs to happen first, before a man can ever fall in love for real. And trust me, once you see it, you can't unseen it. Let's talk about the real reason he's not falling for you. Because chances are it has nothing to do with how attractive, smart, loyal, or emotionally available you are. It's not about whether you text back fast enough, play hard to get, or whether you're good enough for him. Those are surface-level distractions. The truth runs much deeper, and it's often invisible. Here's what's really going on. Most men are not emotionally equipped to fall in love unless something inside them shifts first. And that shift, it's internal. You can't force it. You can't perform for it. You can't love him into it. Men aren't taught to recognize or prioritize emotional safety the way women often are. For a man to fall, not just date, not just flirt, but truly fall, he needs to feel something rare. And that thing isn't drama, sexual chemistry, or the thrill of the chase. It's emotional permission, the sense that he's allowed to show up as he truly is, without being judged, tested, or controlled. Until a man feels that, he'll remain emotionally guarded. He might enjoy your company. He might say all the right things, but something will always be missing. He won't connect to the part of himself that bonds. He'll stay stuck in evaluation mode, always assessing, always half in, half out. What most women don't realize is that love isn't just about how he feels about you. It's about how he feels about himself when he's with you. If a man doesn't feel seen, respected, or safe in your presence, even subconsciously, he will resist the vulnerability required to fall in love. And that's where the disconnect happens. You're giving more, trying harder, getting closer, while he's emotionally pulling back, confused by his own feelings. Not because you're not enough, but because that key in a switch hasn't flipped yet. Until it does, love won't land. No matter how strong the chemistry, or how perfect things seem on the outside, the bond simply won't take root, because the soil isn't ready. But the good news, that switch can flip, and when it does, everything changes. So what is it? What is the one thing that changes everything? The thing that finally makes a man stop overthinking, stop pulling back, and start showing up with real emotional investment. It's not a tactic, it's not a game, and it's not something you do to him, it's something that gets triggered in him. The one thing that changes everything is emotional significance. Until a man experiences a moment where you become emotionally significant to him, where you stand out from every other woman in his past, he won't fully attach. He might enjoy the connection, he might respect you, he might even feel attracted. But emotional significance is what makes him feel something that goes beyond logic. Here's the key. Men don't fall in love because of how good you are. They fall when they feel something different with you, something they can't easily explain, something that breaks through the emotional walls they didn't even know they had. That shift happens when he connects your presence to a sense of safety, expansion, and depth. When you don't just get him, but allow him to feel like more of himself when he's around you. In that moment, you stop being someone he enjoys and become someone he can't emotionally detach from. That's emotional significance. And the reason this is so rare, most women are taught to impress, to prove worth, to be what they think a man wants. But in doing that, they unintentionally stay in performance mode. And a man can feel that. It creates pressure. It blocks vulnerability. It keeps everything surface level. On the other hand, when you're grounded in your own worth, when your energy says, I choose, I don't chase, and when you mirror emotional safety rather than emotional demand, you become a mirror for something he didn't know he was missing. That's when the switch flips. This isn't about playing it cool or pretending not to care. It's about creating the conditions where emotional connection can organically happen, because he feels safe to open up, not forced to commit. It could be a conversation where you hold space instead of trying to fix him. A quiet moment where you don't react, but see him. A time when you express a boundary with love, not fear. These micro moments are powerful. They are what men remember, not your looks, not the dates, not the compliments. It's how they felt in your presence. When that emotional significance clicks, a man doesn't just want to be around you. He begins to feel like he's losing something when he's not. That's the beginning of real love. The kind that sticks, the kind that doesn't come from strategy but from connection that feels undeniable. And once a man hits that level of internal clarity, his energy changes. He commits. He prioritizes. He chooses, not out of obligation, but out of alignment. That's the one thing, and it changes everything. Let's clear something up, because this confusion ruins more relationships than almost anything else. Lust is not love, and love is not just extended lust. They may look similar at first, but they come from completely different places inside a person. And if you don't know how to spot the difference, you can waste months or even years chasing a connection that was never meant to last. Lust is fast, intense, and often overwhelming. It makes you feel alive, validated, even high. You crave the other person, not just physically, but energetically. There's electricity in the silence, tension in every glance. And in those early days, it's easy to believe this must be it. This must be love. But lust is fueled by projection. You're not really seeing the person. You're seeing the idea of who they might be. You're attracted to the way they make you feel, not who they actually are. That's why lust burns hot and fast and often fizzles out just as quickly. Love, on the other hand, grows in the calm. It doesn't knock you off your feet. It roots you. Love is built in the moments when attraction is still there, but presence becomes more important than passion. When you stop performing and start revealing. When you're more interested in understanding each other than impressing each other. Here's the real test. Lust makes you want to possess someone. Love makes you want to protect them. Lust says, I need you. Love says, I see you. Lust thrives on mystery and fantasy. Love grows in honesty and safety. Lust keeps things exciting by avoiding depth. Love becomes exciting because of depth. So how do you know what he's feeling for you? Watch how he responds when the rush fades. When there's nothing to prove, no sexual tension in the room, and life gets real. Does he lean in or start to pull away? Is he still curious about you when you're not trying? Is he present when you're vulnerable? Or is he only invested when it benefits him? A man in lust is addicted to the experience of you. A man in love is invested in you. Your emotions, your mind, your story, even your silence. The problem is, many relationships stay stuck in a lust loop. They mistake chemistry for compatibility. And because that early stage feels so powerful, people think the lack of butterflies later means something is wrong. But love isn't always loud. Sometimes it's quiet. Sometimes it's slow. Sometimes it shows up in the form of patience, forgiveness, or simply staying when it would be easier to run. So if you're wondering whether it's love or lust, ask yourself, do I feel seen, safe, and supported, or just desired? And even more importantly, does he show up when the thrill is gone? Because that's the difference. Lust fades, love shows up. What if I told you there's a hidden love trigger inside every man, a specific emotional switch that once flipped transforms casual attraction into something deep, committed, and lasting? This isn't a cliche or some cheesy pickup line trick. It's a fundamental psychological response that very few people talk about, but it explains so much about why some relationships ignite and others fizzle out. This love trigger is connected to something incredibly primal, the feeling of emotional security and significance in a way that aligns with a man's core sense of self. Men, unlike women, often don't fall in love based on emotional conversations or romantic gestures alone. Instead, they fall in love when they feel truly needed, but not in a way that drains them or makes them feel trapped. It's about feeling respected for who they are, valued for what they contribute, and safe enough to lower their guard. The love trigger happens in moments when a man senses that his presence makes a meaningful difference in someone's life, that without him, things wouldn't feel quite right. It's not about dependence or codependency, it's about emotional significance. When a man feels like he matters on a deep level, his brain releases chemicals like oxytocin that create a bond stronger than mere attraction. This bond is what turns desire into love. Think about it like this. Attraction gets him interested. Chemistry keeps him around. But the love trigger is what makes him stay. And here's the kicker. This trigger doesn't get activated by chasing, pleading, or trying to fix him. It's often activated by allowing him to show up as himself and then recognizing and appreciating that fully. When you stop trying to change him or control the pace and instead make space for his genuine self to be seen and honored, you create the conditions for this trigger to fire. This is why emotional safety is so critical. Men instinctively protect themselves from vulnerability because of how society conditions them to suppress emotions. But when you create a space where he can be authentic without fear of judgment or rejection, you unlock a deep emotional resonance. This makes him feel powerful, connected, and willing to open his heart in ways he never thought possible. It's also important to understand that this trigger looks different for every man. Some might need to feel trusted and relied upon, others need to feel admired or respected, and some need to feel like a vital part of your future or your sense of purpose. The key is to tune in, listen deeply, and mirror back what he truly values about himself. Once this love trigger is activated, commitment no longer feels like a burden or obligation. Instead, it feels like a natural extension of who he is, a choice made freely and joyfully because he feels deeply connected to you. In other words, this love trigger is the secret sauce behind lasting love. It's the emotional catalyst that changes the game from just dating to forever. And the best part, it's not about being perfect or doing everything right. It's about creating genuine emotional significance in a way that resonates uniquely with him. Once you understand this, you'll start to see love in a whole new light. Emotional safety isn't just a buzzword. It's the foundation on which men build their ability to truly connect and fall in love. But here's the thing. Men experience emotional safety differently than women. And if you don't understand this difference, it can feel like you're speaking two different languages. For many men, emotional safety means feeling accepted without judgment, respected without conditions, and supported without pressure. It's not about endless conversations or dissecting feelings at every turn. Instead, it's about a quiet assurance that when they reveal their vulnerable side, they won't be shamed, criticized, or dismissed. Men are often socialized to keep their emotions under tight control. Showing vulnerability can feel like exposing a weakness, so emotional safety for a man is largely about trusting that he won't be rejected or ridiculed for his feelings. It's a permission slip to be human without the fear of losing respect or love. Emotional safety is created in subtle ways: how you listen, how you respond, and even how you hold your energy around him. When a man feels safe, he's more willing to step down his defenses and share parts of himself he normally guards. This might look like admitting fears, sharing dreams, or even saying "I love you" for the first time. But emotional safety isn't a one-time event. It's a consistent feeling you cultivate over time. It grows from patience, consistency, and the ability to hold space for him without needing to fix or change him. Instead of reacting with frustration or judgment when he's struggling, you respond with calmness and understanding. This teaches him that your relationship is a refuge, not a battlefield. One of the biggest mistakes women make is confusing emotional safety with permissiveness. Emotional safety doesn't mean tolerating disrespect, ignoring red flags, or sacrificing your boundaries. True emotional safety thrives in a space where honesty and respect coexist. When you're clear about your boundaries, but also empathetic to his vulnerabilities, you create an environment where he can drop the armor without fear. Another important aspect is nonverbal communication. Sometimes men don't express their feelings verbally because they don't have the words or because they worry about being misunderstood. How you hold eye contact, your tone of voice, and your body language all send powerful messages about whether you're safe to open up to. When a man feels emotionally safe, his brain releases oxytocin, the bonding hormone, which helps deepen attachment and trust. This chemical response is crucial because it moves him from simply liking or desiring you to genuinely caring and investing emotionally. Emotional safety is like a shield that protects the fragile parts of a man's heart. Without it, he'll keep his guard up, no matter how attracted he is physically or mentally. But when that safety is present, he'll move closer, take risks, and build a connection rooted in authenticity. Ultimately, understanding how men experience emotional safety lets you stop trying to force feelings or speed up the relationship. Instead, you create a powerful magnetic energy where love can grow naturally, deep, steady, and real. Vulnerability is often seen as a weakness, especially in men. Society teaches men to be tough, stoic, and self-reliant, which means opening up emotionally can feel risky or even impossible. But here's the paradox. Vulnerability is one of the most powerful forces in male attraction. It's the key that unlocks deeper connection, trust, and ultimately love. For a man to be truly attracted to someone beyond surface level, he has to feel safe enough to show his own vulnerability. When you allow yourself to be open, sharing your fears, your imperfections, your true feelings, you create a space where he can do the same. This mutual exchange isn't just about words, it's about the energy you bring. When vulnerability is genuine, it signals authenticity, courage, and trustworthiness. Men may not always express their emotions through words, but they pick up on emotional cues. When you're vulnerable, you show him that you're real and that you trust him with your inner world. This builds emotional intimacy, which is what turns attraction into something lasting. Without it, relationships tend to stay surface level, driven only by physical chemistry or convenience. Another important aspect is that vulnerability challenges the typical game of dating. When you're willing to be vulnerable, you break down walls and strip away pretenses. This invites him to lower his guard as well, because he senses that he doesn't have to keep up a facade with you. It's a powerful invitation for him to be seen and accepted just as he is. But vulnerability doesn't mean oversharing too soon or using emotional openness to manipulate. It's about timing and intention. Sharing your true self at the right moments, with honesty and calm, shows emotional maturity. It says, "I trust you enough to be myself." And that's incredibly magnetic. It's also worth noting that many men fear vulnerability because they associate it with losing control or being judged. When a woman models vulnerability in a non-threatening way, it helps him reframe what it means to open up. He begins to understand that vulnerability is not weakness but a strength, a gateway to deeper connection rather than rejection. Vulnerability also creates space for empathy. When he sees you being open about your struggles or emotions, it activates his desire to protect and care for you. This response is deeply wired into male psychology and is a fundamental part of why vulnerability fuels attraction. In short, vulnerability is the emotional currency of love. It's what transforms infatuation into genuine intimacy. By embracing vulnerability yourself, you encourage him to do the same, and that mutual openness lays the foundation for a relationship that's real, resilient, and profoundly connected. When it comes to relationships, many women unknowingly make mistakes that create barriers to the love they truly want. These mistakes aren't born out of selfishness or malice. They're often the result of misunderstandings, past experiences, or simply not knowing what men really need to feel connected. Recognizing these hidden pitfalls is the first step to shifting your approach and opening the door to deeper love. One of the biggest mistakes is trying too hard to be what you think he wants. Whether it's constantly agreeing with him, suppressing your opinions, or changing your behavior to avoid conflict, this kind of people-pleasing sends the message that your authentic self isn't enough. Men are naturally drawn to confidence and authenticity. When you dim your light to fit into a mold, you actually push him away emotionally, even if he's physically attracted. Another common error is rushing the relationship or pushing for commitment before the emotional foundation is solid. Many women interpret silence, hesitation, or emotional distance as a lack of interest or love, so they accelerate the timeline or demand clarity. But this pressure often backfires. Men need time and emotional safety to feel ready. Pushing too hard can trigger their natural instinct to pull away, creating a cycle of chasing and retreating that wears down connection. Overanalyzing every interaction is another trap. Trying to decode every text, word, or glance might feel like taking control, but it actually fuels anxiety and mistrust. Men often communicate differently, and reading too much into small details can create misunderstandings. Instead, it's better to focus on overall patterns and how he consistently shows up. Trust builds in the big picture, not the tiny moments of uncertainty. Many women also underestimate the importance of boundaries. Being too available, sacrificing your needs, or tolerating disrespect are ways women unknowingly sabotage attraction. Boundaries don't mean being cold or distant, they mean valuing yourself enough to expect respect and healthy dynamics. When you hold your boundaries firmly but kindly, you create magnetic energy that encourages him to rise to the occasion rather than take you for granted. Another mistake is confusing lust for love. When women mistake intense chemistry for a deep emotional bond, they invest in relationships that lack true connection. This leads to disappointment and heartbreak when the initial excitement fades. Understanding the difference between passion and genuine love is crucial to making choices that serve your long-term happiness. Lastly, failing to communicate openly and vulnerably can create distance. Fear of rejection or seeming too much often stops women from sharing their true feelings and needs, but withholding emotions creates walls rather than bridges. When you express yourself honestly and kindly, you invite him to do the same, building trust and intimacy that deepen attraction. These mistakes aren't flaws, they're simply things you can learn from and adjust. Awareness gives you the power to stop repeating patterns that don't serve you and start creating relationships that feel fulfilling, safe, and loving. The key is to trust your worth, respect your boundaries, and allow love to unfold naturally, without pressure, games, or pretenses. Attraction is the spark that gets things started. But if you want a love that lasts, you have to learn how to turn that initial chemistry into a deep, meaningful connection. This transformation is what separates relationships that fade quickly from those that stand the test of time. But how exactly do you make that shift? It's not about grand gestures or constant excitement. It's about cultivating emotional intimacy, trust, and mutual understanding. The first step in turning attraction into connection is moving beyond the surface. Attraction is often based on looks, charm, or the thrill of novelty. But connection requires seeing the whole person, their fears, dreams, quirks, and vulnerabilities. When you create space for authentic conversations where both of you can share your true selves, you build a foundation that feels real and unshakable. This kind of honesty isn't always easy, but it's what allows love to deepen. Another crucial part of this process is learning to listen, not just hear, but really listen. Men, like anyone, want to feel understood and valued. When you listen without judgment or the need to fix, you communicate respect and emotional safety. This encourages him to open up, to share more of himself, and to feel that the connection between you is a refuge from the outside world. It's these moments of true presence that create lasting bonds. Consistency also plays a huge role. Deep connection isn't built overnight, it's cultivated through ongoing acts of care, support, and presence. Showing up for each other in small but meaningful ways, remembering details, following through on promises, and being emotionally available during tough times builds trust. Trust is the glue that holds connection together even when life gets complicated or stressful. Another powerful way to deepen connection is through shared experiences. Doing things together that challenge you, make you laugh, or teach you something new can create a sense of partnership and shared history. These experiences create emotional memories that bind you closer and add layers of meaning beyond just attraction. It's also important to manage expectations. Many people expect connection to be effortless or immediate, but the truth is that meaningful intimacy requires patience and vulnerability. Both of you need to be willing to take emotional risks, to be seen in your imperfections, and to navigate misunderstandings without fear. When you approach the relationship with this mindset, you invite growth rather than frustration. Finally, turning attraction into connection means valuing emotional depth as much as physical chemistry. Passion is important, but it's the emotional bond that sustains passion over time. When you prioritize building emotional intimacy, you create a relationship where desire is fueled by love, not just by infatuation. In the end, connection is what transforms two people from strangers into partners who feel truly known and cherished. It's the difference between a fleeting fling and a lasting relationship. By embracing authenticity, listening deeply, showing up consistently, sharing experiences, and being patient with the process, you turn attraction into something far more powerful, a deep, enduring connection that enriches both your lives. As we reach the final moments, it's important to remember that understanding what truly makes a man fall in love isn't about tricks or manipulation. It's about creating genuine emotional connections based on respect, authenticity, and safety. The journey to deeper love starts with knowing yourself, setting healthy boundaries, and allowing space for both of you to be real. One of the most powerful takeaways is that men don't fall in love just because of attraction or chemistry. There's a deeper process that happens when he feels emotionally significant, safe, and valued for who he really is. When you focus on building that emotional foundation rather than rushing for commitment or trying to fix things, you open the door to a lasting, meaningful relationship. So what can you do right now? First, practice patience. Love takes time to grow, and pushing or chasing often backfires. Instead, focus on being present and consistent. Show up authentically and let things unfold naturally. This doesn't mean being passive. It means being intentional with your energy and communication. Second, embrace vulnerability. Share your thoughts and feelings honestly, without fear of judgment. When you do this, you invite him to do the same, and that mutual openness deepens connection more than any grand romantic gesture ever could. Third, protect your emotional boundaries. Knowing what you will and won't accept shows self-respect and creates healthy dynamics. Boundaries don't push people away. They actually draw the right people closer because they signal confidence and clarity. Fourth, listen deeply. When he speaks, really hear him, not just the words, but the emotions behind them. This builds trust and makes him feel truly seen, which is priceless in any relationship. Finally, remember that love isn't about perfection, it's about growth. Both of you will make mistakes, and that's okay. What matters is how you handle those moments together, with patience, kindness, and commitment to understanding each other better. If you take these tips to heart and apply them consistently, you'll not only attract deeper love, but also create a relationship that feels safe, exciting, and fulfilling. Love isn't a mystery, it's a connection that happens when two people feel truly known and valued. Thank you for watching. If you found this helpful, don't forget to like, subscribe, and share so others can discover these insights too. Your journey to lasting love starts now.